she is. Hello. You got to walk under the bridge, under 35.
Really nice. Our corporate office is in Phoenix, and we were talking. I was like, "It's in the wind," and they're like, "Yeah, it's cold there." It's like 55. Yeah. I remember. Right on time. Yeah. Are they doing it? Drive the Capitol. It makes me nervous.
Yeah, you got to see it.
Are we recording tonight?
Yeah, yeah.
All right, it's 7:01 on December 14th. I'll go ahead and call this meeting of the Equity and Inclusion. I didn't press it hard enough. Well, just rewind, it's fine. It is 7:01 on December 14th, and I'd like to get this meeting of the Equity and Inclusion Committee started. So I'll go ahead and start with attendance. Ryan?
Present.
Jennifer?
Here.
I'm here. Martin?
Here.
And Krista?
Here.
Hi, Amy. I don't think I need to make you say hey, or here. So. All right, let's go ahead and welcome all of our guests. We have so many people here tonight. Thank you for joining us. This is beautiful to see faces out there. And we'll go ahead and open it to our comments from the public. Please remember, we have 5 minutes per group or person. Great, I didn't know how to do that. Did you feel the panic? Oh, now we really are interested in seeing what that button is.
Okay, wait to press it.
Is there a button on my side? Hey, okay, here we go. Here we go. All right, well, hello, everyone. My name is Marcia Wade Kuntz, invited here by the lovely Amy, and I have applied to become a new member of the EIC. Yeah, woohoo! I live in the 4th Ward, actually at the Backyard Apartments, and am excited to be more a part of this community, get to know people. I'm an accountant, work at Deloitte. I'm on the Kansas City Inclusion Council for our office. I'm the Black and Allies lead. I'm also now a Midwest Hub ambassador for the Black and Allies Council, and have been a part of diversity, equity, and inclusion at Deloitte for, let's see, like the past 6 years now, in some form of capacity. So it is something that I'm very passionate about. But yeah, just looking forward to hopefully being a voice and bringing more voices to our community.
Her appointment will be on the December 19th City Council agenda for approval.
I have to be more aggressive with the push button. I'm so sorry. Thank you for sharing. We're so excited to learn more about you. Are there any other community comments? Does anyone move to approve the minutes from November of 2023?
I move to approve.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Great, then we'll go ahead and now invite our friends up from North Kansas City High School.
My name's Kate Highland. I'm Kylie Layton, and we're representatives of the North Kansas City High School Diversity Council. We're having our annual multicultural festival next week, and we're very grateful for your guys' donation. It wouldn't be possible without you. And you're all invited on Tuesday,
December 19th. We have food and booths at 5:30, and then performances start at 7.
and it's a great representation of our community's cultures, and a bunch of different students come out and show their culture with attire and performances and speeches, and it's a really great festival.
And we just wanted to thank all of you so much for your donation. We appreciate it so much.
A question. I heard that this year you guys are going to have a little bit different setup, maybe than the previous years. Is that true? Could you speak a little bit on that?
Yes. So
plans
last year we had the performances and the booths on the booths were on the mezzanine, and the performances were in our gym. And this year we are having the booths and the food on the second and first floor. And we're going to have the performances in our auditorium, which is on the third floor of our school. And we will have a bunch of signs and people to show you where to go.
Yeah, and the goal of this was to get it a little more organized, because last year we had people running around all over the place and a lot of people missed the performances and stuff. So now we have a more scheduled, like the food will be during this time and then the food will close down and then everyone will go watch the performances.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing that. It's been a really fun part of the events we do, as well as being able to see the high school shine. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's go ahead and move into hospital and community support and transportation. Mallory, is that you?
Nope, you skipped. You skipped me.
Just kidding. Discussion of survey questions.
Yes.
We're going to do next, and then that was a spoiler alert.
So each of you at your seat should have our previous, okay, well, let me just back up to fill Ryan and probably Krista in. So every approximately 3 years, the city does a community survey. It's a valid survey. It's typically done by a company called ETC. Throughout the nation, they're the most commonly used survey, and it's a statistically valid survey, and it's sent to all residents. We also, in 2020, did a business survey as well. I don't know if we'll do that again in 2023, but we are considering it. So back in 2020, the Equity and Inclusion Committee noted that there weren't really any questions geared toward equity and inclusion and diversity in this survey, and have requested that when we do this survey again, that you all have a say in it and you all come up with some questions. So we're at that point. We're going to go have a contract for consideration on the next city council agenda. So we're starting this process, and we're starting the process of figuring out what do we want to ask our community. And so I'm here to ask you all to come up with 3 questions. We feel like that's the right number to fit into the other questions that will probably appear on our community survey. And we would need to have those questions finalized at our meeting in January. So I've given you all the previous survey given in 2020 to the residents. Keep in mind, there's also a business survey. So if you wanted to do different questions for businesses and we end up doing a business survey, you might need to come up with actually 6 questions. But I went back and looked, and it looked like the conversations were geared more toward residents through the EIC, but we could include it on both. So there's kind of examples. The beginning questions really are just you rank things. At the end of the survey is where it gets into the questions where people are answering. Now, again, keep in mind, open-ended questions where you ask people to write are the places where people don't fill it out. They don't take that time. So when making your questions, I would, take that into consideration. So you'll see on the last page, page 7, where the Armour Road Complete Street questions are. Those will not be there, but because in 2020 that was the hot topic, we asked about those. Instead, we'll replace those 2 questions with 3 questions from you all. So I'm happy to have those discussions tonight, or you guys can come in January with your questions. We will need to vote on them at our January meeting, though.
I think I have questions about crafting the questions before we
Okay.
move into any
Yeah.
sort of discussion about them.
Sure. Yeah.
In order to get questions onto the survey, will they need to be approved by anyone? So that we should come up with more than just 3.
Yeah. So, well, obviously, staff will look at them, but then we will submit them to ETC, and they will evaluate them to make sure that we're formulating the question correctly to get the responses that we want. So make sure it's clear, understandable, that sort of thing. They also have to translate them into other languages, so there's pieces to that to make sure that it's translatable. So, yes, they will be reviewed. Yes. I wouldn't say that the substance of the question will change, though, if that helps you. And so I don't know if maybe this is a good place to form a committee, similar how you guys have done in the past, or if everyone individually just wants to come up with questions, maybe you all could submit them to me prior to the January meeting, and then I could bring those all to the January meeting. We could also hold a work session in between now and then, if you feel that's helpful. I know it's the holiday time, so that's tricky, but
So the January meeting will be held on January 11th.
yes.
Okay.
And sorry, Mallory, this doesn't come before council. This just goes straight through you guys and then through the survey.
Correct, yes.
Yeah, I would say a work session would be good, just to get everyone's feedback. And it's, remind me, our new potential team member's name. I'm so sorry.
Marcia.
Marcia. Okay. And just curious, like to fill out our team, would Marcia potentially be available before our next meeting, or
Yes, so Marcia will likely be appointed next Tuesday. And so once that happens, yes.
And then if we wanted to meet more than 3 people, we need to post an agenda.
Yeah, we would post it as a work session. And the work session topic would be discussion of community survey questions. Yeah.
So yeah, I would think a work session would be appropriate, and maybe the first week of the year. the 4th or 5th potentially. The 5th, I think, is a Friday. 4th is a Thursday. Don't know if any of those days overlap with other city priorities.
The 4th, there will be a planning commission meeting.
Okay.
You could have it at the EAC room,
Yeah.
probably.
You could have it at the library. You could have it wherever.
So we could do that on the 4th or not?
You could, yeah. We just couldn't meet in here.
Gotcha. Okay. Are we able to propose that then and vote and just see if everyone can make it
Yeah,
at this point?
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I can
Or just
also,
at least
so yeah,
put
so
that
we
out
can
there
like pencil it in.
as a tentative date and then
Yeah.
make sure maybe in a week, a little over a week's time.
Yes.
Okay.
And so what I'm understanding is we could just say we know what the agenda item is, and
Mhm.
we can confirm, which is like in 3 weeks, but feels like it's tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
But confirm the last week of December. So because
Yeah.
it would need to be published on Tuesday before the meeting.
It's just 24 hours notice. So I
Wednesday.
could post it on Wednesday, yeah.
Okay.
What is the rate of participation for the survey?
I think it was like 70, in the 70% range
Wow.
last year.
It's
or
really
last time.
high.
It's really high.
That's
Yeah.
surprising as long as it is. It's really long.
Yeah, yeah.
That's good.
And it's sent out through multiple means. Yeah, I mean, this company knows what they're doing, and people fill it out.
Do we need to do a formal proposal for this meeting, or do we just say like, yeah, let's do it?
Yeah, we can just say, yeah, let's do it. You don't need to take. I mean, if you guys are good with the 4th, what time? 6, 7, 5. Okay.
Yeah, 6 would work.
I think Amy has.
I'm
an
just, I'm
idea.
just looking at the crowd. I'm like, Marcia. I know that Marcia, she already disclosed right at the beginning that she will not make the official first meeting in January, but I think by nods, she will be able to make that meeting, which is exciting.
Great, then let's just pencil it in for January 4th at 6.
Okay. Would you like to hold it in the? Some of you were here when we held our work session over in the police department room. It's got a screen. It's got boards. Is everyone good with that? Okay. I'll make sure it's available, but then I'll be in touch with everyone at the end of December to confirm.
All right, now is everyone ready to move on? Great, now back to where I announced prematurely before, hospital and community support and transportation.
Oh, me. So yeah, I asked to have this on here because, obviously we're going through quite a bit in evaluating transportation, and I don't really know anybody that's anti-public transportation. Everybody wants to support public transportation, but we're trying to find the means and the money and just a path forward. We've obviously found some solutions along the way, but there'll be another round of let's find more solutions. So I'm just trying to get us ahead of it. And we did have a council meeting, and I guess like city staff and part of council members meet up with the hospital board for kind of I guess they let us know their financials for the year and things like that. But I think, the messaging we did get out of them is that they are here to support North Kansas City. So I'm just trying to drum up ideas and with your help of kind of some creative ways we can incorporate their help and their focus on the residents of North Kansas City, going forward, whether that be, I had one idea during council of just if there may be the possibility of them supplying maybe a shuttle that can go get particular, anybody that has appointments in a particular area, they can all meet at that particular area, be taken to their appointments within, like, say, a 2-hour time frame, just to see if that could help assist some of the need that we're kind of facing, and just trying to look for more, just creative solutions, see if you guys have anything or have any experience or anything in, your wheelhouse of kind of some ideas. It's not something, we need overnight or anything, but just kind of getting ahead of the game for that conversation that's absolutely going to happen again, probably July of next year, I imagine. We're going to be looking at transportation again.
Yes,
Yeah.
because the contract is on now for a
Right.
6-month. It'll be on December 19th for a 6-month renewal.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of one of those things I just want to kind of put in your heads of, just trying to get creative of what could be our ask. They are a community partner, and just anything that might even come to mind tonight or anything that, comes to mind. I know it feels like, what? It's a big undertaking, or maybe it doesn't, but I think it's just something where it's there, and if we can get creative in what our asks are, I think this is the group to kind of sort those things out and bring it, so I can bring it to council for consideration to have that conversation with the hospital. So that's that.
Do they have vehicles like available for that?
They have vehicles,
Yeah,
but
so
I don't
they're
know what
doing
they're
a
designated.
pilot program. I don't know if you know about this, but they're doing a pilot program right now with the city of Gladstone.
Okay.
I don't know why they chose Gladstone and not us, but it's exactly that. They're picking up people from their appointments. I don't know where they're at in the pilot. I know it was started in the summertime, so I assume it's still going on. I don't know, but we could certainly ask them about that, because they do, and they were doing it, I believe, with a van, with a North Kansas City hospital marked van, and I believe the people driving it were North Kansas City Hospital employees. Did they say anything about that at the?
They did not.
Okay.
Good. Tony's here. I'm like, I don't recall them speaking to that at that meeting.
Sometimes I'm a little crazy, but I know that this is happening. I
Wow.
spoke to
Well, that would be
hospital
exciting if
employees
they
about
would
it.
bring it right here
So
for
maybe
a 2-mile
maybe
drive.
it's just as simple as we need to have a conversation with the hospital and say, are you still doing that program, and how did it work in Gladstone?
Yeah. I think in identifying our areas like the gardens, any areas where we know there's quite a bit of traffic of needing to call on Iris, which hasn't gone well, or things like that, and honing in on those areas to kind of say, because if you guys know or don't know, there's right before now, there was like a zone that you had to be picked up in. So you had to walk sometimes, I don't know, what was it up to? Yeah, 3 blocks or something like that. As you can imagine, that's tricky for every member of the population. Like not everyone is operating at the same ability. So I think we're just trying to find the creative ways. And I think that could be one way of saying focus on a particular, that be the zone, but maybe that gets in particular served by the hospital. And then there could be a good window, because, a lot of people get to their appointment, within an hour to 2 hours early or things like that, and kind of chill and have their paperwork ready or whatever it looks like. But yeah, so if they're already doing it, then this is not a creative idea. This is just
Amy, you're full of great ideas.
Woo! I'm here all night, folks. It's funny, like
I'm
no
surprised
one
they didn't
said
mention that.
No.
But, okay. So I think, we should definitely reach out to them, and maybe I could do that before we have our work session, and then we could
That'd be awesome.
see how that worked out for them.
We could look super effective. Just like, guys, we did things.
Great idea, Amy.
This group, I tell you.
Do we have data anywhere about what the old system that worked pretty well was used for? Because like we've got one avenue of the hospital, but I know that's like not the only reason people are using our transportation systems.
So are you talking about the flex bus that we used to have?
I'm just talking about
Small.
anything we've ever had. Like where are people going? Not because I care, but like
Yeah.
targeting the hospital is a great idea, but if people are also using it to get groceries, that's like another way that might not connect with the hospital.
We don't have data on, so the flex bus would be where you get that, because our others are just fixed routes. So we don't know where the people go once they're dropped off, because it's just station to station. But the flex bus would have known, but we don't have. It was through KCATA, and we never could get data on that.
Well, we do have some information that the top sites were 1, the hospital, and 2, Harris.
Yeah, and so with Iris right now, Harris is like either the top or the second in all of the Kansas City Metro through all of the IRIS. Listen, this is how a lot of things are paid for in this town. So, yeah, in through all of the Kansas City Metro, not just in North Kansas City. Harrah's is like, right, the second or top most. Yeah, yeah. So I would imagine that the hospital with our Flex bus was a very popular destination. Yeah.
Ideas around that. I don't mean to pinpoint just the hospital would be sort of the saving grace, but I think just getting some sort of incorporation from them to kind of say, hey, this could actually alleviate kind of a busyness that occurs that's not being served well enough currently, and just kind of see how we can alleviate that. And just kind of start that conversation that they're already starting with someone else.
Gosh, I just threw people under the bus. I didn't even know I was going to. The other thing I think too, and I don't even, so the new contract that is going to be for consideration on the 19th, the service hours are potentially going to be reduced in North Kansas City for all of our routes from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. And so that's great for people that, you know, do things just from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. But if you work a shift job and you, that I think is another area where there's room for alternative solutions, possibly.
Not to just keep going on this, but there was one major piece. I believe it was Bridget Youngs that came through to talk to us about the transportation issue with buses not being available at Sunny Hill, and it came down to like a woman having to pay her rent by going all the way down the hill to some particular box. And I just thought that just seems like we need to approach the landlord to say, what is happening? You know, is there not another box we can put up there aside from a whole nother bus system to prevent her from coming down the hill? I mean, it really became like she has to go a half a mile or she gets to take the bus, and she has limited mobility. So that's just one of those things where it's like I don't really know where to begin to start to kind of just request or fundraise for a box to be put in at Sunny Hill Apartments instead of at the bottom of the hill. I don't know. I don't think this is like solve it with a bus, is what I'm getting at. Okay, I'm done.
I don't think you're actually done because the next agenda item is you.
That is correct.
Here all night. Well, as far as updates, I was just looking at the agenda, for last week, and it was much circulated around, and the last two have been circulated around transportation. And I think we came full circle. Tony was actually on the committee. And I did have a question. Mallory, when it comes to these specific committees that we've put together via council, what would that look like if we added a single member from like the EIC to also sit in on that?
I briefly, because you brought that up at the last meeting, I believe, too, or maybe we just had a conversation about it, but I briefly talked to the mayor about it, and he acted like that was something that could be entertained, but beyond that, I haven't had much more of a solid conversation with him, but I'm happy to do that. So, like, if you're thinking that the next time the city council, or maybe you'll keep the transportation, and could there be a representative from the EIC on that committee? Is that
Right.
the?
Yeah, I mean, not to volunteer you guys additionally, but it's just a thought that I think with that vantage and point of view, it could be advantageous for all of us, if at least one of you could, represent the EIC in those sorts of meetings.
So is that something the group would like more information about, to sort of look at that process? Yeah, okay. I will have a real conversation and get an answer on that.
I also, we're reviewing contracts with the YMCA. And I don't know what becomes sort of like knowledge to everyone, not knowledge to, I'm pretty sure everything's pretty well published of the agreement. I think that's all
The current agreement with
Yeah.
the YMCA? Yeah, that's all.
public knowledge.
Yeah.
And then it's the thought of what that looks like going forward. So by memory, we're basically at the end of that contract in the end of 2024 or the start of 2025, something like that.
Yeah, we have to let them know.
Yeah, we have to let them know
Yeah.
by the end of this year that we will be changing, some verbiage, trying to give them a heads up and kind of like, hey, there will be changes coming down. And we've already got some identified, but I think, again, as we move through that process, I would like this group to kind of take a look at those things as well, just to see if there's anything that we can insert from the EIC lens that maybe isn't being addressed or represented within that contract. Because it's a 10-year, if I recall.
It'll be whatever
okay.
we
The term
negotiate.
currently, I think, is
yeah.
10.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know that the new
Right.
term will
And so
be
we'll
10.
establish the next term if
Correct.
whatever.
Yeah.
Or it's negotiable.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, and it just feels like I'm laying homework assignments on you guys, but it's just more, I think it's just more like, this could be a focus. You may look at it and say, hey, this all looks pretty good to me. But I would want everyone's input. If you have something that stands out to you, I think it's worth taking a look at. I'll also give the homework to Marcia as well, don't worry. And she's like, you're not my friend.
So I think for things like that, so the notice of, I'm going to call it this for lack of a better term, the notice of non-renewal will be on the city council agenda on December 19th. And that's just letting the YMCA know that we are going to renegotiate with them for new terms over the next 12-month period. We'll probably do it sooner than that. And so that would be something that I could, as we go through that process, provide to you guys, except for the contract negotiations, to some extent, will not be public record until terms are mutually agreed upon. So,
but I thought we're announcing
yeah,
that
on
it'll
the
be
19th.
modified.
Correct. And so you could look at the current contract.
Yeah.
And go through that and say right off the bat, this does not seem inclusive, equitable for our community, and it's not something. So
that's it.
I can go that route if that.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, that works. It won't be a matter of, I think
Yeah.
it's just kind of redlining whatever you guys see and us taking on that input from council because it'll be voted on and all of the things.
So I'll plan to put that on the January agenda. So I'll attach the current contract to the agenda for you all to review prior to the meeting, and then we can have some discussion about that at our meeting, if that works for everyone.
If I can add just a bit here, the mandate of this committee is to actually be able to make comment and input on almost anything that goes on in the city, including these contracts and others. So you're not restricted in that regard. If things are important and issues come up, your advice or comments to the council and to the mayor and to the staff is always welcome on any issue, really. That's part of your mandate. So remember that, please.
I was just looking. I don't feel like I have any other. I think that's a pretty chunky bit of homework and assignments. We're still moving along on the River Forest Park project. If anybody cares to know, I just had another meeting today. with updates on that. So that's going well. We've had to do some things that are kind of mandated in the grant application. So with that grant money, so that's an equitable project that's still underway. It's just, there's going to be some birthdays that pass before it opens, but pretty hopeful that we'll make it into 2024. Yeah, I think that's it. As far as what I wanted to discuss and really what we went through in the last meeting got pretty condensed. There wasn't like a ton, but we were there for a while, mostly executive session. But yeah, any immediate questions for me? Anything that comes to mind?
If I may circle back, I mean, I think it kind of ties into your update so far, just with the transportation. Was the idea with like including the hospital's kind of offer, if you will, of transportation, is that kind of like a seed of, like you planting a seed of like growing like kind of these routes that are really important and just kind of identifying what those are and then hopefully allowing like North Kansas City to provide more of that really important route transportation within the city? Is that a goal, I mean, of city councils or just of yours personally?
I think overall the goal is how do we keep this affordable and trying to get as creative as we can, because naturally there's federal grants, there's things that are helping us along now, but we don't know how long those will be in place. And I think our latest contract, correct me if I'm wrong, was we have a flex and 2 dedicated lines, like the 238 and one other one.
The same fixed routes that we have today.
Yeah.
Will remain,
Which go through the
but
hospital.
the hours of service.
6 to 6.
Yeah.
And then the flex bus has been added again. Like there were like chunks of the puzzle and we chose these 2 chunks and said, that's the contract. We cut out sort of this middle. It works for now, but it's just something to get a heads up on so that we're not reactive. Because it was pretty reactive this time around. We established a committee. We were reviewing alternatives. We asked for an RFP of, let's see, anything else we could put out there. Do we pay for cars and Ubers to just take people around, and drop them off to other cities, to those bus stops? I mean, is that where we're at? But that's what we were exploring. And so we're trying to really look to see how we can make this more sustainable going forward. Because as of right now, it's depleting the transportation budget completely, and then some. So, pretty more hopeful messages. I'm here all night.
Does anyone have any other questions for Amy?
Have y'all done a study or a look at what other small cities of our size do for public transportation?
That's a great question. So pretty much any of the council meetings where we've discussed KCATA, it gets in a pretty heated discussion. Councilmember Smith put one of the meeting discussions from Gladstone, and they basically said, no way, we can't do this. This is way too much. No one has from KCATA has supplied us with the math to say this is how we came up with this number. They just kind of, it felt like they just, I don't want to assign what they did, but they just presented a number and said, yes, this is you guys. For the very few stops that come through here, we just didn't feel like it weighed out, and Gladstone certainly didn't, and they shuttered their doors. So the service ran through Gladstone, does not open doors, and I don't know if that's still the case today, but I think they did shutter their doors until they can reevaluate. And with that reevaluation, we of course want our reevaluation. We still negotiated the existing contract that we signed up for. It always happens very quickly. It's like, well, you got to decide tonight because the decision happens next Tuesday. If you don't announce the thing, then that doesn't go, and then we don't have a contract. So this is why I try to get way ahead of it, because we're going to have this discussion again that goes fast in June or July. So if that answered the question. Yeah, but Gladstone is one that I know right off the go that had a very high contract price, much like we did, and they simply said, we can't do this. And I don't want us to go that route. Obviously, we want public trans to be important and prioritized, but we are looking at the budget and saying, like, how do we make this work? So
If there are no more questions, I'm going to go ahead and move us on to announcements.
I do have an announcement. At your last meeting, you all voted for bylaw amendments, and I am kind of sad to report tonight that I don't have an update on that yet. Our legal counsel has been out ill and hasn't had a chance to do that yet. So I'm hoping that in January we will have those looked at and then hopefully fully approved.
Mallory, we had a discussion before some months ago about Snake Saturday parade. Where are we on that as a group, as the organization? Should I be bringing this up now? Is it a
Yeah,
bad
no,
thing?
that's fine. Megan and I have thought about what our float might look like. And that's about the extent of it. So I guess now is as good a time as any to say, do you all want to be in the Snake Saturday parade? With the warning that the last 5 years the weather's been terrible.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, that's a.
I'm a go. I say yes. It will give us a little bit more visibility right here in North Kansas City.
Yeah.
And in terms of marketing, in terms of questions, survey issues, and so forth, we could do some of that possibly there.
So you want to throw out surveys instead of candy?
People will love you, Martin. I know it. Everyone loves a good survey.
My level of awareness of days on a calendar is not great. So what date would that be?
I believe it's March 17th, but I'm shooting from the hip on that one. So let's see. Yeah, March 17th? No, March 16th.
Okay, so it
Yeah.
truly is the day before this time.
Yes.
around.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 16th is a Saturday.
Yeah.
The 17th is a Sunday.
17th is a Sunday. Yeah, it's a leap year, so we added extra day.
That's fake.
Leap year's fake. Anyone born on the 29th? Well, you just don't exist. That's Bailey's world.
They only exist once every 4 years.
7, isn't it 7?
I don't know.
4?
Again,
Okay.
calendar math.
Who knows?
Well, me and Martin can be a tag team on this parade. I'll do it.
If you want to partner with Diversity Council for the Snake Saturday Parade at North Kansas City High School, I'm sure that would be something that we would want to do. So you can just reach out to us, and we have a lot more free time after the festival, and so during second semester, I'm sure that would be something that we would want to do because we've been trying to get more out into the community anyway, as apart from just our school. So if that's something that you guys would want help with, I'm sure that we would want to do that.
Committee established.
That sounds awesome. Sign us up.
Since we're talking about things in advance, when did we start planning Pride last year, being a part of the Kansas City Pride Parade? And
Yeah,
great. I love
3 weeks before.
Perfect. We did great. When is an appropriate time for us to start planning that? 3 weeks before is also appropriate, so it's fine. But when, because again, we meet once a month.
Yeah.
And thinking proactively, like Amy does. Good job. When should we start thinking about that?
I don't think I introduced Megan I'm Krista, I don't know if you know, but this is Megan Summers, and Ryan, this is Megan Summers. And I'm going to let Megan take the.
So we've brainstormed the float idea. I guess we can get y'all's approval at this point. For Snake Saturday, it's going to be a rainbow with a thing of gold at the end, and then Pride, just a rainbow. So it'll stay, we'll hold on to it. Yeah. That's what I got. Oh. You? Yeah.
You have to paint your entire body in gold.
And so when...
So I feel like January we've kind of beefed things up. And obviously Snake Saturday has kind of come before. So maybe.
April and May.
maybe we discuss Pride in even starting in February, I think. So we'll make a note to throw that back on the agenda in February, and then we'll have those conversations then. And I don't think the registration's not open
Right.
yet. For
But
Pride.
did we end up paying a late registration fee last year? No? Okay.
We had said we wanted to do it, and so I registered us, knowing that maybe we wouldn't end up having a group, but we did end up having a group. So
Yeah, I would say timetable, January, we have the meeting to settle the survey things, but then we've got to get probably committee moving, whether that's a meeting outside, I imagine, our regular scheduled meetings, to start constructing the float. Because that'll take some time, and that could be like a weekend thing, all hands, we can get community members involved. Megan's probably more versed in float construction.
to our January meeting, it's the same. It's the second Thursday of the month,
The 11th.
and we can. Okay. Okay. So in January, we'll invite them back from North Kansas City High School, and we can really work out some details if that's okay. Okay, with Martin. Okay.
Any other announcements?
I was just going to mention that the North Kansas City High School men's basketball team, or boys basketball team rather, had a big win over East St. Louis at I think it was like the Norm Stewart basketball tournament over the weekend, or last weekend. It was a big W because East St. Louis is a pretty darn good school, and I think NKC has a really good school or team this year, so I think that's worth mentioning. But yeah, so,
Yeah. I also I did not include events because there aren't any. So in January we'll get back into our upcoming events.
Was there a social media, Hanukkah, Christmas, Kwanzaa, holiday sort of situation? No?
No,
Okay. We just feel it in our hearts.
we do.
All right, and at 7:47, we can adjourn if I have a motion.
I'll move to adjourn since I didn't move to start the meeting. Or nor was I here for that.
Is there a second?
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And Daniel, if you would like to gavel.
He gavels, but he gavels like